thank you for coming by for yet another Full Build Friday. Moving down the checklist I've got here, I'm fulfilling a request and returning to the League of Legends to land the Lady of Luminosity, Luxana Crownguard. To shed some light on this illuminated idol, let's look at some build goals for her. Touching quickly on lore, Luxana is a member of the noble Crownguard family from Demacia, a nation with a strong distrust and dislike of magic. This forced Lux to hide her own innate magic, though she has sought to make a change within her nation and has even created a refuge for other mages. In-game, Lux is a ranged mage who has the long-range artillery and high damage burst classifications. Through her Illumination passive, Lux marks enemies hit by her spells and can consume this mark with her basic attacks, dealing extra damage. She can keep targets in place with Light Binding, which roots and damages the first two enemies hit. Prismatic Barrier provides her with a shield that affects allies touched by her thrown wand, and her Lucent Singularity creates an area that slows enemies, and can damage all those in its area when she detonates it. She rounds out her rather simple set of abilities with Final Spark, which fires an immense laser that deals considerable damage to all enemies caught in it. All said, this makes Lux a supremely versatile mage of noble birth, who can do everything from locking down foes to blowing up her enemies, to even protecting her allies. She even demonstrates some martial prowess by weaving strikes in between her spells to trigger her illumination and bring her foes low. From there, we'll start with Luxana's ancestry, and she's pretty classically human. I did consider one of the more magically inclined heritages, but we do cover that elsewhere in the build, so I was content to take the skilled heritage for now and make her trained in Arcana. Fitting with that, she takes the adapted cantrip Ancestry Feat, though I won't talk about which spell she'll gain from it until later. As a human, she does get 2 free ability boosts that she will apply to Charisma and Dexterity. I tried shopping around for a background a bit before I finally settled on the Noble background, to represent the station of the Crown Guards within Demacia. This makes her trained in society and heraldry lore, while also granting her the Courtly Graces skill feat so that she can navigate the courts of her homeland on behalf of her fellow mages. Through this, she also gains a boost to Charisma, and then a free boost to her intelligence, since she is a bright lass. As for her class, I think Sorcerer might fit in the best, as Lux's magic seems innate, rather than something she has practiced, studied, or learned. The Charisma key ability score doesn't sit with me quite as well, but I'm honestly not sure what else should be her key ability score. This class grants her some Sorcerer's potency to match her Magnitudus Might as a burst mage, as well as the Angelic Bloodline, so that she has the Divine Spell List and a protective blood magic, resembling in concept if nothing else, her Prismatic Barrier. Fittingly, this gifts our Lady of Luminosity with the Light Cantrip, though we'll also be slotting in Tanglevine, thanks to Adaptive Cantrip, with the hopes of using it to immobilize an enemy per her Light Binding. Rousing Splash provides temp HP akin to the shield provided by her Prismatic Barrier, and I would also grab Divine Lance just so that she has a decently damaging cantrip. As an Angelic Sorcerer, she gets the Heal spell as a granted spell for first rank, but none of the other options here really speak to me. Which brings us to rounding out the first level by looking at Lux's skills. Her Bloodline provides her with training in Diplomacy and Religion, while her remaining skill increases go to Acrobatics, Deception, Nature, and Stealth. She finishes out her ability scores with boosts to Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. I've got this build pretty tied into Charisma, so feel free to focus on that, and take other ability boosts as you want for Lux's skills. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Lux is an Artillery Mage. Reach spell at 2nd level is a pretty perfect way to represent that, potentially giving her greater range on her spells. Sticking with that topic, Trick Magic Item will let Lux use her magic to power a whole array of mystic trinkets and the like that she wouldn't normally be able to make use of otherwise. 3rd level brings 2nd rank spells, which is notable because Lux also gains signature spells here. While she gains Spiritual Armament as her granted spell, she'll be signaturing Inner Radiance Torrent, which launches a line of force damage inspired by her Final Spark. She also takes the opportunity to bump up her Society skill to Expert through her skill increase. As for her feat, this level, we jump on the classic pipeline of Ancestral Paragon into Natural Ambition into Widened Spell, so that Lux can also increase the range of her lines, bursts, and other effects outside of just the range of her more standard spells. For the 4th level of this flashy fella, Lux gains Bespell Strike. This was one of the reasons that I picked Sorcerer, as it allows her to charge her strikes with extra power after casting a spell, which is this build's take on her Illumination passive. As a note in this regard, I'm going to give a rare item suggestion in the form of a Pistol Wand. This will give her a ranged attack that also happens to be a wand, matching her typical weapon, and perhaps even more so when it comes to her commando skin. Additionally, she includes Arcane Sense as her skill feat, gaining the ability to detect magic without needing to have the cantrip stored in her repertoire. Speaking of her repertoire, there is a potential fun combo at 2nd level with Fear the Sun, followed by Radiant Field, which both also fit in with the light magic that Lux is best known for, though doesn't particularly resemble any of her abilities. We'll go ahead and kick 5th level off with ability boost to Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Lux gains Magical Fortitude, but perhaps more notable is 3 skills that are all getting increased. The Skilled Heritage means that Lux is an expert in Arcana here, an actual skill increase makes her an expert in Nature, and then the Int boost makes her trained in Thievery, inspired wholly by the Spell Thief Lux skin. Given the natural distrust of magic in Demacia that Lux was raised within, Witch Warden is an appropriate, if not somewhat sad sort of feat to include from her ancestry. The Holy Light spell granted by Lux's bloodline is pretty perfect, and will get signatured here, but I also like Moonlight Ray for sticking with the whole light theme and providing her with a different damage type. For representing Lux's Prismatic Barrier, Energy Ward is an option I looked at for 6th level, where Lux can give herself resistance to a damage type for a single round. It's far from perfect, but is a step in the direction of that whole concept. She follows that with Leverage Connections as her skill feat, allowing her to call upon her brother or other members of her family, even if they're not entirely approving of her magic. 7th level is almost always a big one for casters, as it often includes Expert Spellcaster and a skill increase that makes Lux a master in Arcana. She picks up Ride as her general feat since it is something that Lux has learned as a noble. She even has a horse named Starfire.
Hello, tiny wooden replica of Starfire.
Not that one.
Pudding of Sadness.
The other big thing for casters here is 4th rank spells, which includes Radiant Beam. A spell pretty much perfect for Lux's Final Spark, down to the point where it can dispel darkness, just like how Final Spark reveals the area for a brief time. There's also Divine Wrath, which creates an area resembling her Lucent Singularity and can slow foes on a critical fail. It's really just missing the duration, and Lux's ability to detonate it at her leisure. Through her 8th level feat, Lux gains an Advanced Bloodline, which provides her with the Angelic Wings focus spell, which in turn is meant to resemble Lux illuminated from LOR and her general ability to fly. She'll then use Assured Identification as her skill feat, allowing her to swiftly figure out the function and effects of magical artifacts that she might come across. For her 9th level, Lux becomes an expert with her reflex saves and a master with her society skill. Her ancestry feat will be multi-talented, which she can use to take a Bard dedication. She's going to be hunting down some of its occult spells, and picks Bard solely because its spells are charisma based, just like her Sorcerer spells. This has the benefit of making her trained in occultism and performance, and also lets her add telekinetic hand to her Bard spell repertoire, as we do occasionally see her wielding some telekinetic capabilities. The 10th level of our mighty Madam Mage manages ability boost to her Dexterity, Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma. She grabs basic Bard spellcasting as her class feat, and uses that for 2 particular spells. Endure is a single action that she can signature grant significant temp HP per her Prismatic Barrier, while Phantom Prison has the immobilizing effect of her Light Binding, even if it's limited to a single target for the time being. Recognized Spell then serves as a Spunky Sorcerer's skill feat, allowing her to demonstrate what she's learned of magic from spending time around others who are able to do so. As we've seen from the last few builds, casters don't get a ton of class features, and those that they do get are pretty simple. For example, 11th level only has Perception Expertise, Weapon Expertise, and a skill increase that goes to Occultism to make her an expert of that as well. Incredible Investiture as her general feat allows her to wield a wider array of magic items and gear, which could be handy. Then, with access to 6th rank spells, Lux can grab Zealous Conviction, as it is a spell that she can use to grant her entire team some temporary HP, just as she can do with her Prismatic Barrier if she lines things up correctly. Through the Greater Bloodline class feat at 12th level, Lux gains the Celestial Brand Focus spell, which has some basis on her Illumination passive. Though, I do wish the extra damage wasn't limited to holy creatures, as that is a super limited list. I am having a little trouble picking out skill feats for her, but Quick Recognition at least builds out of her recognized spell, and lets her get more use out of it, either using it in conjunction with another reaction, or recognizing 2 spells in a single round. The lovely lucky level 13 for our lighthearted lass leads into defensive robes and weapon specialization, as well as a skill increase that makes her a master of occultism. As mentioned before, we see Lux fly every now and then, which lends to the use of Aerialist as her ancestry feat. While she has a fly speed through a focus spell, this just gives her another option for it as an innate spell that doesn't require a focus point to cast. Last level skill increase to occultism means that Lux can take Expert Bard spellcasting at 14th level. Chromatic Ray is a fun pickup from her 4th rank spells, but Stagnate Time is a 5th rank spell that creates a slowing aura to better fit her Luzin Singularity. She also picks up Common Centered for her skill feat, letting her more swiftly recover from being stupefied or frightened, which might actually better fit her brother than Lux herself. She gains ability boosts at 15th level that she'll be able to apply to her Strength, Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma. She'll go ahead and take a boost to her Arcana to become a Legend of it, and then achieve Master Spellcaster. For her general feat, Incredible Initiative is always helpful, and will be used to act first and lay down some debilitating effects before her allies start joining the fray and mucking things up. With a lack of appealing sorcerer feats for a cacophonic casting cutie, Lux takes Occult Breath as her 16th level class feat. I use this to add spells such as Magical Fetters and Phantasmal Protagonist to her Bard repertoire, which includes a way to grant allies some temp HP. It's also just a really flexible spell, and that is something I personally enjoy. Given her legendary Arcana, she also takes Unified Theory as her skill feat, which allows her to expand the usage of Arcana to fit whatever purpose she needs, and explores her own dive into magic. Sorcerers finally get Majestic Will at 17th level, as well as a skill increase that makes her a legend in occultism, which will be important for her next level up. Her human ancestry proves its use once more with the Heroic Presence ancestry feat, giving Lux the ability to cast Zealous Conviction as an innate spell, in addition to it being in her repertoire. For Lux's second to last class feat, we will be taking Master Bard Spellcasting, which will get her up to 8th rank spells at 20th level. This is important as it will let her learn a heightened Phantom Prison, which can capture and immobilize multiple creatures. To take advantage of her cultism, Lux also takes Comforting Presence to support her squad, while also being able to recover from Frightened and Stupefied herself due to the previously taken Common Centered skill feat. As for her 19th level, Lux starts it off with Bloodline Paragon, Legendary Spellcaster, and a skill increase that makes her a legend in society. Given her own youth and experience, Keen Follower feels like a fine fit as Lux's last general feat to close out on the build with. We begin the end with ability boost to Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma. Through this int boost, Lux becomes trained in Medicine, though I'm not certain you'll get too much use out of it. Hopefully, you and Lux will get more use out of Bloodline Mutation. This is mostly taken based on Lux Illuminated from Legends of Runeterra, but I was also hoping it would provide her with the Holy Trait so that she could proc Celestial Brand herself. It doesn't look like it, but ask your GM, maybe they're cool.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
For her skill feat, Break Curse will allow Lux to break the magic of others through her occultism skill, so that she doesn't have to spend a spell or something of the sort to do so. As noted way back in the build goals for Lux, she is a rather varied caster that has access to a wide array of spells. She'll mainly be looking to take advantage of her area effects, particularly the lines of her big blast, and you might need some setup for that. She'll want to slow down enemies with Stagnate Time and maybe trap them in place with the likes of Phantom Prison before unleashing the likes of Divine Wrath or Radiant Beam to annihilate her entrapped foes. She is also fairly supportive, with the likes of Rousing Splash, Endure, and possibly Heal if you chose to heighten that. So in between blowing up foes, make sure you're also bolstering your allies. If you want to play Lux in a free Archetype game, I have to suggest the Starlit Sentinel Archetype to reference her Star Guardian skin. The Shining Starlight attack is a nice spell for her, and Sentinel's Orbit could also be handy. If you want to further reference that, you could also include something like the Familiar Master archetype, given that that skin line does come with some familiars. Alternatively, I would actually look at Spell Trickster. This comes with a range of ways to modify spells, but of particular note is Shining Arms, which simply has to be adapted to work with the new light spell. Has this build managed to brighten your day, or is it a bit of a dull bulb? Let's review what we've put together to help you decide which. Lux, the Lady of Luminosity, is a skilled human, and a sorcerer of the angelic bloodline with a noble background, which serves to represent her descent from the Crown Guard family. While she started with her family's innate distrust of magic, as we see in the form of Witch Warden, covered by the investment in the Arcana and Society skill. Her Sorcerer's Potency class feature covers her role as a Burst Mage, while the likes of Reach and Widen Spell aid her in serving as artillery. For her Illumination passive, she relies on the likes of Bespell Strike and a Wand Pistol to give her the ranged attack that she's looking for, while the feat lets her charge up her attacks after casting a spell. It's a bit backwards from how it functions in game, but I think the idea still holds. She uses Phantom Prison from her Bard dedication for the rooting of her Light Binding, though Tanglevine can also immobilize a target on a critical success. There's fewer spells than I thought that granted temp HP, but Lux can call upon the likes of Rousing Splash, Endure, or even Zealous Conviction for the shield provided by her Prismatic Barrier. Lucent Singularity is then a little bit harder to pull off, and it does require a combo to do so. Stagnate Time creates an area to slow enemies caught within it, before Lux detonates it by dropping down a Divine Wrath, which can also potentially slow enemies. Radiant Beam is a fantastic fit for her final spark as a vast beam that she blasts enemies with, though she could also call upon Inner Radiance Torrent for that effect as well. Lauded as a leading Lady of Light, Lux lassos losers in limiting light and then launches luminous lasers that land slow lives and leaves them on the ledge of life and lethality. Let me know what you think of this build and what other sorts of builds you'd like to see in a comment. If you like what you see here and want more, be sure to leave a like and then subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the blog, which is linked below along with the Twitter and Discord. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic Friday.